The Brooklyn Nets have absolutely fooled everybody. Not exactly the Brooklyn Nets, but the whole Kevin Durant saga, where he's requested a trade, and nothing has really happened ever since he requested a trade. Everybody's made a bunch of mock trades, but nothing's happened. Kevin Durant, of course, disgruntled in New York, partly because of Kyrie. Kyrie's just been pulling shenanigans all year long. So there's a bit of a situation going on in Brooklyn, but I don't think it's that serious. I think we've all been tricked. They're doing their best to keep a win now contender around these guys, bringing back Patty Mills, bringing back Nick Claxton, not dealing away Joe Harris. So make sure you stick around for the full video to see why I think the Nets are tricking us, especially Kevin Durant. Make sure to like button and the subscribe button if you do enjoy at any point. Also, leave me a comment down below, as it really helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. All three things will. And let's go ahead and get started. Looking at, was it a fluke or not? Now, KD says, I want to strengthen my legacy here. I'm trying to go out and win some more championships. And then he requests a trade to the team that won the most games in the NBA last year. Doesn't really make sense. Of course, Kyrie, his trade value is at an all-time low just because of the crazy stuff he's been pulling all year last year, kind of refusing to play the game of basketball. But KD and Kyrie have been seen hooping together. They were actually with Westbrook out there hooping together. So that's interesting. A little bit of history there. But hopefully, they've patched things. They have made some win-now moves as well. Like I said, they just brought in T.J. Warren on a one-year deal who, although he has been hurt, the last time we saw him fully healthy, he was averaging a 20 ball on very, very efficient shooting. They send away a first-round pick to bring in Royce O'Neal from the Utah Jazz, who is a very win-now type player, great defender, and can knock down the three a little bit. Not too much of an offensive guy, more so a defensive guy. And then same thing with Edmund Sumner, really a good defender, kind of brought in to replace Bruce Brown. Now, resignings. They brought back Patty Mills and they brought back Nick Claxton. Those were their two big moves this offseason in terms of bringing back their own guys. I believe they were both brought back on 2-year deals, and if that is so, they brought back their starting center for the future in Nick Claxton, and then they bring in their backup point guard for the next couple of years in Patty Mills, who is getting up there in age, but Claxton's still a young buck. Hopefully they can keep him around for a long, long time in Brooklyn. And like I said, these are two win-now moves. All signs pointing towards them keeping Kyrie and KD. Now, I got a little ahead of myself. They did let a guy walk in Bruce Brown. I thought that the Nets should have tried their hardest to retain Bruce Brown. I think he's one of, the more prototypical NBA 3-and-D players in the modern NBA. They let him walk, so, they bring in some other guys to replace him, so it's not that big of a deal. But I thought they should have brought him back. Now, an X factor for this Brooklyn Nets squad next year is got to be Ben Simmons. They need the all-star version of Ben Simmons. They need him like he was in 2018, 2019, and 2019-2020 before COVID. If he can get to that level, the Nets should be looking pretty good. The guy averaged 17 points a game, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists, truly doing a little bit of everything. And people seem to forget about that. I know the last couple of years have been a little rough for Ben, but when he was in his prime, he was good. He was that guy, 58% from the field, 2.1 steals, and almost a block a game. A great defender, an all-star for 3 straight years. They need that level of Ben Simmons back. And then you look at him in the playoffs. He didn't have Joel Embiid for some of his playoff games, but 23 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists in the playoffs are nothing to laugh at. Those are really, really good numbers. If he can stay healthy, and hopefully he can this year, I think he's in for a big-time year. I think the Brooklyn Nets are in for a big-time year as well. Of course, he's got to stay physically and mentally healthy because it's been a bit of a mental game for Ben Simmons over the last couple of years. But if he can stay healthy, if he can do that, I think the Nets are in real, real good shape, especially if they got Seth Curry knocking down shots. Now, speaking of Seth and the rest of the lineup, this has got to be one of the best starting fives in basketball right now. You talk about Kyrie Irving, and when he's playing healthy, this is a guy that can come in and drop, 50, 30 a game every other day as a side hobby. One of the most talented point guards in the NBA right now. If he can play a full 82 games, I think, obviously that's going to take the Nets to the next level. And then you got Seth Curry at the 2 guard position. Some people say he's too small. If he's too small, heck, just move up Joe Harris to the starting lineup or somebody like that. But Seth Curry at the 2, I think he's one of the most underrated players in basketball. Super efficient. Kevin Durant, we already know about him. One of the greatest scorers in the history of the game. Ben Simmons, that X factor down there at the power forward spot that can also play point guard. He'll probably guard the other team's best perimeter guy. Between Claxton and Ben Simmons, that's your defense, really, because the other 3 guys aren't going to be too great at defending. But between Simmons and Claxton, that's going to be a nice 1-2 punch on the defensive side of things. And then you got one of the greatest scoring combinations in the history of basketball, as well as one of the most efficient players in today's game at the guard spots. Now let's take a look at the bench. If you need some more defense in that starting lineup, you simply move up Royce O'Neal or Edmond Sumner to replace Seth Curry at the 2 spot, because you can get more than enough scoring with Kyrie and KD, and then Claxton and Simmons. They can produce a little bit. But off the bench, you got Patty Mills, Cam Thomas, TJ Warren, and Joe Harris. That is a lot of firepower. Mills and Harris, great 3-point shooters, and then Cam Thomas and TJ Warren, just all-around scorers. And then, of course, like we said, Royce O'Neal and Edmond Sumner, the 2 defensive guys. I don't know who's playing the backup big spot for the Nets, as Andre Drummond, of course, signed away with the Chicago Bulls. So I'm guessing Day'Ron Sharpe, as of now, is going to be the backup center, but I don't know. I guess that's what it's looking like right now. Now, this morning, they brought back Kessler Edwards on a 2-year deal, and he's another guy that you can plug in, a great defender and a great offensive guy. At least he was in college. Coming out of the draft, I thought he was a steal at number 45, and for the Nets to extend him for 2 years, obviously they think something like that. Now, you look at this situation here with all of their outgoing picks. In 2024, their pick goes to Houston. In 2025, Houston, it's a pick swap. In 2026, their pick goes to Houston, and in 2027, Houston has another pick swap. So immediately, if this Brooklyn Nets team implodes, it turns into yet another disaster of a team from the beginning of the 2010s that led to the Nets being the worst team in basketball from about 2011 or so, whenever those guys disbanded, until about 2017. So Nets fans are hoping and praying that Kyrie and KD stay, because they don't want it to happen again just a short 5 years later. That would be terrible. My final thoughts on today's video. I'm hoping KD does remain in Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn will be a better team than anybody for him to go to, because of course they would have to give over a huge amount of assets to the Nets. Kyrie, I'm hoping he plays a full season. Kyrie is one of my favorite players to watch. He's one of the most fun players to watch in the NBA. If you disagree with that, you're crazy. Kyrie, KD, I hope that duo stays together with Ben Simmons. I think it can be a great big 3. But hey, y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I think it would be a really nice squad. Maybe I'm tripping. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you did enjoy at any point. Also, leave me a comment down below, as it really helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. And all that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video.